Welcome back to class, everybody. It's a bloody sandy day in the neighborhood, and today we're talking about how to take on multiple opponents. Now, this is going to be a little different than what we normally do, where I'd focus on a singular weapon group and its strengths and weaknesses. Instead, we're focusing on multiple weapon groups and how their strengths all kind of coordinate to a singular goal. First up is Boom, then Boom, then Boom, and then what I got on me. First up is the Beck de Corbin. Now, this little bad boy has a decent hammer front and that classic crow's beak, or, the Beck de Corbin literally standing for beak of the crow on the back here. A crude spike on top. Now, normally the spikes probably wouldn't be this crude looking, but again, a Beck de Corbin's an easy thing to make. The long paneling on the side means that, one, the hammerhead is going to be solid on that shaft. I mean, that is a thick, square shaft. It also means that you can block with the sides of this weapon. Usually with a polearm, blocking is dangerous because it could chop through your weapon, but these metal panelings mean that these weapons are able to block. Next up is the knightly poleaxe. The axe blade over here, and now I'm gonna rotate you. Yep. Get in the ground. Whoa, Jesus. All right, you know what? There we go. So the axe blade is great for lighter armors like leather, brigandines, gambesons, stuff like that. While this studded mallet end over here would be great for plate and lamellar armors. The point on the top, great for really any kind of armor. Now, scale mail does fall into that kind of yes, no, will it, won't it kind of category. I'm sure an axe blade will fuck up scale mail, though, especially if you swing it hard enough, because scale mail is just overlapping plates. Hit it hard enough, you're going to crack through the front of those plates. The mallet end, same thing. Hit it hard enough, it's going to shatter some of those, make a nice weak point. This will be able to weave its way between the plates, pushing them out of the way. So, scale mail is best for slashing weapons, not really for hacking weapons. It can work on hacking weapons, but the whole good thing about scale mail is it takes shitty material and makes it into better armor. You could make scale mail out of wood if you wanted to, and it'd be way more effective than any kind of wood plate mail, Anywho, the knightly poleaxe has banding on all four sides of it, allowing it to be effective to block with, but also this little lip here means that no chance of a sword sliding down into your hand, which honestly makes it one of my favorite. It has a butt spike, but the butt spike probably isn't meant for combat. Yeah, no. Come back here. We're doing that again. There we go. No! It just won't stick there. I guess I have too many weapons stuck into the ground there. Yeah, it's hitting something hard. The butt spike is more or less meant for shunking into the ground as you go about your business. Like, say you've got javelins on you. I do not know why that won't stick into the ground, and that is really annoying me. All right, you know what? You're banished. You're going over here now. There we go. More or less what you do with the butt spike is you thunk it into the ground, go about your siege engine or whatever you're doing way back behind, your own friendly lines. Like, let's say, I got this, probably no shield, maybe a handful of javelins, right? Something to help me just kind of crack that front line. But if we're attacking a castle, I don't want to be the first guy out there because, again, probably no shield. So I'm going to hang back with, like, the trebuchets, the catapults, ballistas, scorpions, something but well behind the shield walls where the archers really aren't going to focus on me. And I'm going to be operating that. This thing's going to be just shunked into the ground, And once we crack the gate or once we get the all charge, I'm going to pick that thing up and just start booking it to the front line, hoping I don't get thunked by an arrow on the way. Next up is the glaive disarme. This is a really long weapon with a really nasty blade. All right, I think I've showcased this on the show before, but yeah, that thing bites right into my table. And granted, it pushes itself out due to some kind of physics glitch, but damn. This thing is a wonderful weapon for taking on multiple opponents because of its sheer reach and the leverage, the power you can get on a swing that's going through a person. And the hook on the back means that, say you're up against another polearm wielding opponent, you can hook their polearm in that and then try and rip it out of their hands or twist it out of their hands. and then come back in and fight. And so you're essentially taking away an opponent's greatest strength. You boom. You're gonna own the battlefield with one of those. Now, this isn't exactly the longest spear in the world, as you can see. It's even shorter than my Dory and my Mycenian spear. So Jake goes over. Well, this is a javelin. Alright, and it's the perfect segue into my next segment. Throwing weapons. Excellent way to take on a opponent, multiple opponents, I should say, because not only can most throwing weapons be used as a ranged weapon, their actual purpose, but they can also be used as a melee weapon. The javelin is a stellar example of that. A dude with a medium shield and a javelin suddenly becomes a spear soldier if the opponent gets too close. All he has to do is just not throw the javelin, just stab with it instead. It has more range than your sword. I fucking guarantee it. Next up is the Francescas and the throwing axes. Well, these are short weapons. I'd love to have it as a melee weapon in a pinch. Because let's say I'm fighting 6 people, I can take that, wing it at somebody. Say I've got 2 more on my hip, that's great. I'm fighting this guy over here, say my shield gets cracked, I can pull out my trusty side axe and be like, ting, I can fight, I can dual wield, allowing me to engage 2 people at once. And then if one of them gets knocked back or gets knocked down or has a moment of weakness and I can't reach him, I can just thunk it into him and pull out another. Same with balanced knives or throwing knives, Having a bag of these on your hip, having 6 of these in a holster, absolutely phenomenal at taking on multiple opponents. Because at any minute you can wing it at somebody and say you get tackled to the ground. That is a place you do not want to be against multiple opponents. You can take your knife and just chink, roll them off of you, wing it at somebody, get back to your feet, and keep fighting. Moving on to the weapon wall. Most of these are swords and other things along that kind of line to take on multiple opponents. You want a sword with a long blade and an even longer handle. I wanted to put the, the Nagamaki on the wall, but I didn't have room for it. The Nodachi, no, that's not it. I mean, the Nodachi would work, don't get me wrong. Nodachi's definitely designed for that. Yeah, they don't have it in here. I'll just use the Nodachi in its place. So, very long blade, very long handle. Now you think, well, Jake, that's going to get bogged down inside a gaggle of, 30, 40 people. This is true. Typically, Nodachis were best on the charge and hit. But a skilled Nodachi wielder against a handful of other people, not in a giant battlefield jamboree, where any of these weapons would easily get bogged down, you're going to be able to get slices on opponents before they can reach you, not to mention the length and weight of your sword and the leverage you can get with that extra long handle. It's going to allow you to power through opponents' guards, effectively making you a more effective soldier than any of them. Can I? Yeah, see, I can't. I'd have to rack it up above, and all my up above racks are taken. So you know what? You're gonna go right. Nothing. There we go. I was like, nothing is stabbing today. So first up is the Falx, my absolute favorite. What makes the Falx so damn deadly is that inverse curve, but also the incredibly long handle, which gives you serious leverage. The Falx is capable of hitting multiple opponents, but what makes it great against multiple opponents is that you usually kill an opponent on the first hit. Usually it is a one-and-done sword, allowing you to quickly change targets as needed to keep going. Not the greatest defensively, a curved blade kind of intercepts opponents' weapons, and without a real dedicated handguard, there's a good chance you're going to swoop right into your knuckles. But again, Falxes, you'd more or less block with the side of the weapon, or you'd simply just dodge your opponent's strike, or try to collide with it with the blade and power through. Next up is the Kriegsmacer, a larger version of the Messer, or Macer, however you wish to pronounce it. I'm not going to be the grammar Nazi on that. This thick, heavy blade was wonderful for hacking through limbs and arms of people on the battlefield, And now, while the handle's not incredibly large, neither is the blade, meaning that this was essentially the bastard sword version of a messer, which is kind of like our long sword there. It's light enough to be wielded with one hand, but you can add a second hand for that extra chopping power to really crack through a guard or really take off a limb. Wonderful choice against multiple opponents because you can still wield it with a shield, but say you forgo a shield, that's just fine. You can wield that weapon with enough articulation to be able to take out and fend off multiple blades. Next up is a Zweihandler, a weapon dedicated to take on like a dozen people, wielded by the best of the best. The Landsneech. With its ability to half sword, grab halfway up the blade, you get yourself a lighter, essentially, variant of your sword now because you're choked up quite a ways. You have that good leverage on it. That allows you to use it with a lot more dexterity, or you can go all the way down the handle for massive power hits. Has these little flangs here to keep bodies from sliding up, as well as to keep, when you half hand, from swords hitting you in the hand. The handles here, which also act as handguards, give you a bit better thrusting grip to really drive it home through a shield or through an opponent's armor. It also allows you to pull down and like whip. So you have options. You have tons of options. Next up is the longsword, which is more of a bastard sword, really, because of how light the blade is. You can grab up on it, you can swing it good. Same with the Kriegsmaster. The only difference is this sword having that beautiful fuller to it. What is our child doing? She should probably not be playing with those. She's a crazy baby. You can choke up a good ways on the blade. You can get a decent stab off with it, a absolute epic stab. And because the end of the blade isn't fullered, it's a very solid striking edge with a very solid stab. Next up is the studded bat. Yes, studded bat. So this is essentially just a massive freaking club, kind of like the Kanabo from Japan, except with only like a good maybe hand and a half grip here. Slightly smaller grip, but also a lot less weight on it because the studs aren't all the way down, meaning this is your definite striking surface. And this section of the blade bat is so thick that a blade couldn't chop through it. Maybe an axe or something like the bardige, which I've been pronouncing wrong my entire life. Oh, my tracking is terrible right now. I've been calling this thing a bardiche. I'm pretty sure it's actually pronounced bardige, so I'm gonna try doing it that way from now on. So moving on to it. Now the bat I'll come back to in a minute because I've got another little thing along that tangent. This guy again has that half ending. Now this is the one from the base game. This isn't the one from like, any of my selections, any of my mods or anything. You can choke up into this little gap here for jabs and strike downs and stuff like that with the giant cleaver blade, or you can choke all the way down and just get massive power on that guillotine blade. That is a lot like our glaive guisarme going to just decimate a person. That kind of weight coming down, man, that's gotta, hold on, I wanna see. I just wanna, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And see, unlike the guisarme, the blade isn't as long, or the handle isn't as long, which allows you to use this in tighter spaces, closer quarters, than you'd be able to use the glaive and still get absolute devastating slices. Last up is the Onosuyari, which, yes, from Japan, yari means spear, which references that beautiful point. I'm guessing the Ono is this axe here, because trust me, if I had something like that swinging at my head, I'd be saying oh no too, You can grab down here at the handle for great, like Dane axe and other, two-handed axe swings. You've got that point on top for good stabs, although unlike most dedicated halberds, it has nothing on the back. It is just axe and stab. Now, it has a little bit of lag designating its weight, but due to its short size, it is definitely more of an axe than like a halberd. Oh, that is a good point. Holy shit, I was just gonna put like I put a tiny bit of weight on that, and ouch. Holy shit. I might have to actually use this more. That is damn decent. All right. So yeah, that's a wonderful combination between an axe and a spear. Has the length of an axe, allowing you to use it in semi-tighter quarters, but say you're in like a hallway or like a corridor and you can't swing the axe blade, you now have a semi-lightweight javelin-sized spear that you can now stab with, allowing you to hold that hallway. It's a wonderful multi-tool out of Japan. So, damn. All right. Hold on one second. We're gonna have some technical. Actually, you know what? I think she left. I was. My baby is tearing up the kitchen as we speak. Yeah, my child is tearing up my kitchen right now. Uh, that's okay. We're gonna move on real quick to what I got on my body, and then we're gonna go and we're gonna showcase some of this against multiple opponents. We're gonna start with the right shoulder. Here I have the Gata, and this is kind of on the same veins as this guy. That blunt end there has very little chance of getting stuck in an opponent because it's blunt. You know, it can't literally, get stuck in somebody. Another thing about it is when you swing it at somebody, there's a great chance you're going to hit them and it'll go through. Your weight will go through, allowing you to come around, spinning it over your head to build up that momentum. Boom, woof, boom, boom, woof, boom, getting those big power swings in there. The good rotational hit, whoosh. And so those kinds of swings are very effective with something like this or something like the bat. The Gata, I like it a bit more because of its beautiful ornate pattern, and that all the weight, unlike the bat, which slowly builds its weight, all the weight is just right here, meaning that I can grab it up here and it's still a decent grip. With the bat, that's so wide you can't really grab it there. I could choke way up on this thing and still use it to bop and smack. Granted, I won't have the leverage anymore, so it's going to feel a bit heavier, but I could always choke down here and get that drop pound or that hit to utilize the momentum a little more efficiently. On my other shoulder, I've got the Crescent Halberd. One of the reasons I like this guy is his massively wide Bec de Corbin on this side means there is zero chance of that getting stuck in plate mail. Something like this, when it hits, there's a chance it'll get wedged inside, and you're going to have to grab up and thunk it back out. Very little chance of something that chungus getting stuck in somebody. Same with the spear point, a very wide diamond. Very, very flat, wide diamond tip there. Means that it's probably not going to get stuck inside the mail, because you'd have to get past this point for it to even risk getting wedged inside somebody. The inverse of the axe is, again, another of my favorite things. Any inverse curve there, I just simply adore. Meaning that when it hits, it's not going to push itself off the body. It's going to push into the body, causing a heavy chop. Granted, that does increase my risks of it getting wedged in somebody and having to pull it back out. But with such a long handle, with such good leverage, that chunk out is no problem at all. Plus, if I've got somebody coming up behind me, that chunk out can hit them. I can come back, hit somebody over here, turn, spear. Any kind of double-sided weapon like this, you have those inverse hits that you can use so that you never really, any motion you make is not wasted. And I love that. Already in use. That's right, your left shoulder. Next to my hips, I've got a Xiphus and a Shishmar, I think? Shishpar, not Shishmar. The reason I went with these guys, dual wielding is another great way to take on multiple opponents. What it allows you to do is it allows you to block here, and then come in, boom, boom, boom. Say you're fighting a guy with a shield, you can bring his guard high, stab low, come up under the shield, crack through it. Now, my right hand is my offhand. That is my non-dominant. A lot of people call it the weak hand. I prefer to think of it as my stronger hand for one sole reason. I usually use heaviest weapons in my right because my left is far more articulate. It's a lot more detailed and dexterous. So if I'm wielding a heavy weapon in this one and the skillful weapon in this one, I'm wasting this one's potential. Both my arms are equally strong, so why not use the dummy heavy in my right where I'm usually going to be blocking with, because they're going to not be able to move a heavier weapon like the Shishpar. And Jesus, tracking, come on now. And with a metal body like this, they're not going to be able to chop through it either. So, what the fuck is wrong with my tracking right now? So if I slam this guy into a block, you know, all this weight is coming out into that block. Chances are they're not going to be able to break that. While this sword being lighter and swifter, I'm going to be able to come in and get around them. All right, now real quick, give me a second here. I'm trying to figure out what is it too much sunlight? Is the floor not as bright as like the window light? 1 second. Oh, that's exactly what it is. That is 100% what that is. All right. Give me a second, guys. Just cranking up the bright, because yeah, there we go. That should help. My lights in my room are on a kind of like a dimmer switch, but not quite. Just making sure that that wall there is not going to get me. They're kind of on a dimmer switch, kind of not. It's like a button. You press it to turn them on, but if you hold the on button, they get brighter. That should fix my tracking issues. Alrighty. So now we're gonna start dragging in some enemies here to see what this is all about. Now, again, I'm not gonna 1v1. I'm gonna take on multiple opponents. We're gonna do gladiators, just because none of this is really about armor pen. It's more or less about, you know, will it kill 6 guys? So, whoa, now see, I'm bogged down here, so I'm gonna hit this guy to open up a way to retreat and throw the Vector Corbin at him. Oh, that massive hit on the leg. See the circling motions I'm using? I'm coming around. That way I'm not wasting momentum. Boom. Ugh. And then I go low, because his shield's high. Try to get around it. Boom. And then stab. I think I'm all out of focus. Alright, then turn around. Make sure behind me's clear. Oh, I took her hand off. I didn't know you could just take the hands off. I thought it had to be the whole body. Now, I have more range than either of them, so I can use that spear tip. She's stuck on my weapon. There we go. That is a downside, is when you get stuck in your opponent. Now, they are circling me, and that is not good. So I'm gonna move back. Oh, he just ran into the spike wall. What is wrong with you? Uh-oh. I'll beat you with a shield! But it's okay because... Oh, there we go. I was gonna say, I always have the back of the weapon to hit with. Alright. That was decent. I didn't take as much damage as I thought I did. So most of their hits were just shallow hits. Now real quick, I'm going to turn on my teaching aids here. And turn off full damage. Not going to make myself invincible, because that takes the point out of this. So, alright, next we're moving on to the Gata. So same thing, but you know, when you gotta, you gotta, so. When you gotta, you gotta. Boom. Yeah. Right there in the ribs. Oh. There we go. Ah. 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 See, it's that circle. Boom. Boom. Ah. 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 It just, you don't let your momentum die with this weapon. You just keep it going. And see, I can choke up. If they get too close. Again, I don't have the same hitting leverage as I do out here. But it is a option should I get jammed. Oh, like that. Whoa, to my left. Whoa. Alright, so yeah, a lot of that is about going in circles. You saw me hit multiple people. Bam, bam, bam. Because if I'm really using this weapon, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be hitting, coming up, hitting, coming up, hitting. That way I don't have to kill my momentum. I don't have to hit and then fight it back the other way, then fight it back the other way. I'm going to hit, keep that spin going. So yeah, honestly, the Gata is one of my favorite blunt weapons in this game. Because it doesn't have any spikes on it, which means, granted, its pen against blunt, or its pen isn't going to be there. It's going to be, you know, more of a blunt force only weapon, unlike, let's get some examples going here. This guy, you know, that's going to hurt. This guy, you know, all these got spikes on them, because the hope is that the spikes will get through the armor. The problem with that is, the bigger the spikes you have, the more likely they are to get stuck. Jesus. They are to get stuck on the person's armor, and then you're not going to be able to drag it. You're going to have to backtrack out of it. With the Gata, though, there's nothing spiked on it. You can just thunk, 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 thunk. All right, moving on to my hips. Going to be dual wielding. Now, again, my tracking's been off a lot today, so don't know how well this will go, but we're going to see. She is inside me. Just in case, because I got time. Whoa. Get the stab. Why did you not get the stab? How are you not? I go, dude has an iron neck. Whoa, arm, thank you. Oh, arm. Where's my arm? There it is. Whoa. Jesus. I do not know what is going on with my game right now. But I will teach regardless. Yep. Oh, that just stuck into the ground, didn't it? Come on. There we go. some reason the game does not like me looking that way. It just causes my tracking to go all to hell. Whoa! Ah. 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 So yeah, glitchy arm aside, see, anytime I went low like that, my tracking would just it'd go like through my body and be stuck behind me, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's the too bright outside, not bright enough on my floor. Maybe my system's malfunctioning. Maybe it needs like an update or something. I'll figure it out. I'll fix it before the next one. Don't worry. But irregardless, I'll work through it because honestly, I really enjoy this series. I got to use my gruesome knowledge and violence for something for the better. So that's how to take on multiple opponents with a wide variety of different weapons, from polearms to two-handeds to blunt weapons to single-handed weapons. Now, granted, a shield is also going to help. Any kind of shield. Now, I'd prefer a tower shield against multiple opponents, because then I've got decent fucking coverage. But another great shield to pack is something like this. Because this is both shield and weapon. Now, if I didn't have the Sheesh bar, if I had to pick another weapon to pair with it, it'd be this guy all day, every day. Because it can block, it can attack, it's, you know, it's a decent weapon. And at any moment, I can drop it, and I can get something new. And then come back to it. I can throw it at enemies. Oh, I missed. You. I can throw it at enemies. I am the worst at throwing. Oh my god, let me try that one more time. There we go. I can throw it at enemies, try and Captain America them. It's a very solid weapon for helping you. The only downside is arrows. Not a good defense against ranged multiple opponents. Really, any of the options I showed you were bad against ranged opponents. This is more or less for a melee fight, but this guy right here would be the king of that, because he block, he attack, but most importantly, you know, you throw him, he usually don't come back, because you ain't a Jedi. So, that'll do it for today, guys. Class dismissed.